Tokyo, my father had no problem picking me out in the window. He said, the brown one is mine. And so I believe that I'm truly Pan-Asian. And I love any opportunity to talk about Asia and obviously about India. And you folks are in for an amazing treat because you're here to listen to Anand Giridharadas. Anand is one of the best young explainers of the world. There are several people like that now in the media, people who explain the world to America and Americans and to the world at large. People I put in that category include folks like Fareed Zakaria, Tom Friedman, but Anand is in that group as well. And Anand has written a book that I want to make sure all of you, whether you're here live or you're watching on the web, make sure you get. If you're here live, you can actually pick up the book afterwards and there'll be a book signing. But this is a very special book that explains India and the changes that India is going through. And you don't just have to buy this book, you can also get it on Kindle. My wife downloaded it on Kindle and is eagerly reading it. And I know that in the last 2 weeks, just in the New York Times, there's been a lot of attention paid to the book. I'm sure all of you had a chance to see the Sunday New York Times Magazine ran an excerpt from the book. And yesterday in the New York Times, one of my former students from Columbia did a review of the book, and I just want to read you an excerpt from that review to give you a sense of the book. And her name is Gayatri Bahadur, and she says, India Calling is a fine book, elegant, self-aware, and unafraid of contradictions and complexity. Anand captures fundamental changes in the nature of family and class relationships and the very idea of what it means to be Indian. And I think that captures, in a way, the book itself. So our idea here is that I'm going to talk to Anand for a little bit. He's going to make some opening remarks and then read from the book. And then we'll take your questions as we go through the afternoon. So, Anand, tell us a little bit about, first of all, congrats on the book and the success you've had and all this attention. And maybe talk about how you decided, of all the things you could have written about, and the various lenses with which you could have examined India, how you picked this particular lens of this kind of this intimate portrait, as it's called.
Thank you all, first of all, for being here. It developed organically, as these things often do, and in retrospect acquires a kind of retrospective kind of heaviness. But I was a senior in college, didn't quite know what I wanted to do with my life, but the gravy train was about to run out, so I had to kind of come up with something. And I wanted to be a writer, but it wasn't clear how you become a writer. So I thought I would go to some place challenging, interesting, outside the U.S., because good writing comes from a kind of collision often with the unfamiliar. There were a bunch of other countries on the short list first, and then it occurred to me that if I was going to do this, India really fit the bill better than, Belgium or Kenya, because it was profoundly unfamiliar to me. So it had the virtues of unfamiliarity that I was looking for, but was also mine in a certain kind of estranged way. And I had grown up with Indian parents and, American with an asterisk, knowing that there was something Indian about us, but not quite knowing what that was or what it meant. And it occurred to me that this would be a good place, even though I didn't quite like it, even though I always felt it was kind of frozen and stagnant and dead, to go and deal with. And that was the extent of it at the beginning. That's what got me on the flight there.
You called it, in one of your essays, the land where you got midnight phone calls, and it meant trouble when the phone calls came.
Yeah, it was in my childhood. It was this place, what V.S. Naipaul called an area of darkness. And I arrive in 2003, and I am shocked to discover that the country I grew up with in my mind is beginning rather quickly to vanish. And what I'm seeing around me simply does not fit the imagined picture of India in my head. And there was still plenty of evidence of old India around, but there was also a lot that was new and unfamiliar and daring and brash and energetic that completely did not fit in the frameworks I had built as a child about this stagnant, frozen, socialist, casteist, hierarchical place. And so I set out, to answer your question, to write a book that tried to explain how one India became another.